And good morning, good morning. Today we are looking at Path of Exile 2. We have Phoenix on with us.
Hello,
Hello,
hello.
FlamedEzra, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Awesome.
Thanks
Uh,
for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining. So, Path of Exile is a game that I personally do have some history with. I played a crap ton of the original. I was by no means a pro gamer with it, but I loved the hell out of Path of Exile. And when I heard that Path of Exile 2 had finally come out, I'm like, I have to look at this. Um, it's it's something that like I played Diablo 2, I played Diablo 3, and Path of Exile is one that just felt like an excellent advancement of that series. And even having like I've looked at Hades, I have played a little bit of Minecraft Dungeons and seen how that plays, but none of it really captured the same kind of feel and atmosphere that I got from Path of Exile. Um, so that's just something that really stuck out to me. Uh, for anybody familiar with the first game, the game was heralded for its skill tree, where as you leveled up, your character could branch out across the skill tree to boost how certain skills and certain stats interacted, to build your character, and then you would put skill gems and socket it into your armor to basically decide what kind of skills, what kind of auras, and everything you wanted to do. So Path of Exile 2 went and seems to have advanced that they really pushed forward with more characters, more, they call them ascendancies, where, you know how in some games you start off as a base character and then your character can go into advanced classes to get certain extra bonuses.
Right.
So they have that where now the way the first game worked, they had they had seven character classes, but it was basically six core classes where there would be one focused on strength, one focused on intelligence, and one focused on dexterity as your three core stats, and then one other character class that was like a hybrid of two stats. So like there would be the Marauder for strength, and the Witch for intelligence, and then the Templar, which was a hybrid of strength and intelligence. Path of Exile 2 has gone a step further, and they removed the Scion class, which was like a middle of the road, jack of all trades kind of thing that started in the middle of the passive skill tree. Which anybody that might be familiar with Final Fantasy X's sphere grid in a sense, where each character was started off on a certain section of the tree, and then your skills could branch off into other characters' sections. But so Path of Exile 2 has set it up where now there's two character classes for every stat combination, giving you a lot more base characters to work with that have different kind of skill specializations and different ascendancies for bonus classes. We're just gonna
Gotcha.
go down before we look at screenshots and get into the information here. Takes place in the land of Rayclast. They crafted this whole, and that's part of the what they call Path of Exile. Is you start the game as somebody who is exiled to this desolate wasteland that it's basically no man's land. It's a place, if somebody is sent there, it's basically a death sentence unless they can uh, get in with some of the locals and manage to fight their way to survive in a very unforgiving environment. Um, Storyline has them going through the continent and finding a way back to the mainland, and has like some kind of whole supernatural bullshit going on that was pretty wild. So I guess they're continuing that story here.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I've never touched, well, barely touched any RPGs like along this lines here, or action RPGs. Like the most I've done is I've played for some hours, a few hours Hades, and dabbled in a bit of Minecraft Dungeons back in
Right.
like 2021. So
And I know each of those
my
has like their own kind of skill progression too.
Yeah, my knowledge on this is very limited. But also my knowledge on a lot of gaming recent games I feel like is limited because I'm very attuned and accustomed to the 3 top games I mainly play, which
Right.
is,
And I mean that is
Minecraft,
fair.
Fortnite, Rocket League. Those are grindy games that take a lot of time,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, that is definitely how it, like that this is one of those kinds of games too where you could sink hours and hours and hours into the game. It can be one of
yeah.
those games where um, it is hard to juggle this with other like live service kind of games because it is that
Yep.
kind of thing where you would be like, yeah, I'm gonna take that grind, get this character max level, but then you might want to try another type of character class.
My fatal flaw, playing too many live service games.
Yep.
Cause like
Uh,
I picked up Mass Effect Legendary Edition and I want to play it, and I feel like if I don't play the whole game through, I'm gonna come back after a few months and be like, what was I doing last?
exactly. Yeah, a lot of those games can be like that too. Um, but this one, they're showing us 6 acts where each act is like a chapter of the main story. 100 environments, 600 monsters, 100 bosses, and I did see in some of the trailers the bosses have some unique looks and feels to them, and some unique mechanics for each one. Uh, again, boasting 12 character classes, where there's instead of the original 6, they've got 2 for every stat combination, and each one will focus on different kinds of play styles. Like for, I think dexterity, they have the ranger, which is like a bow shooter class, and then there's a I don't. It was like a huntress class, I think, that mains spears instead. Like they get a lot of spear-based abilities.
Oh, cool.
But then I also saw there was a they called it a marauder class where they use crossbows, but the way they use crossbows is like it's almost like an arsenal of firearms. The way they showed it in the showcase, where you could set different skills or different ammo types to the crossbow to have it function as either like uh as like an assault
Bolt.
rifle type of weapon,
Oh, okay.
a shotgun, or a sniper type of weapon, and
Oh,
each one would
interesting.
have
So
like
like,
different bonuses.
okay, that's interesting. Cause when you said different crossbow types, I thought you meant like maybe more like different things of like elemental, but different types of like weapons
Right, and
themselves
I
is
mean
kind
they
of
had
cool too.
different elemental charges to them too, but like it would
Oh,
be
okay.
like one would be specified. One type of ammo would be for a rapid fire kind of attack.
Yeah.
One of the things they did
Oh,
boast here. Oh,
oh, so like the crossbow has like multiple range capabilities, is what you're saying? Because
right, right,
you said like a sniper or a shotgun. So when you can switch it from being better at close range combat to be able to then shoot someone from a
right.
farther
Like
distance.
something I think it was like the sniper based skills would have been like a guaranteed critical hit. Um, Rapid fire would be good for like things that can cause like some chain effects. And then
Oh,
like the
cool.
shotgun one, they showed the shotgun where using an incendiary blast, like an incendiary shot, that where it would explode on impact, would do especially well with the shotgun type since it shoots like in a spray. But then if you're up close and personal, that means that a single target could be hit by multiple points of impact, so they're taking like compounding damage from all the exploding damage. And that was something they really showed a lot of, was using skills and like in various types that work together. So like having different kinds of electric or fire attacks working together, along with doing something with the skill tree that lets you like rapid swap between skill bonuses.
Gotcha.
They changed up the skill gem system. So the old system had it where you would socket a like your active skill gem into your armor, and then the armor could have linked sockets in it, and the linked sockets would let you put support gems onto the skill gem to change how it functions. Like let's say one would be, you had your main attack that would be a fireball spell, and then you could add support gems to it to add extra types of damage to it, or to cause it to do like a split shot, or to have explosion effect added to it. And I think what they did this time is where the support gems, instead of socketing support gems into the armor, you socket them directly into the gem itself, so that you get more flexibility with your build. You're not like limited by your armor slots.
That's neat. Quite the upgrade.
Yep. Let's see. Support gems. Yeah, it says they're socketed directly into the skill gems, removing many of the frustrations present in the old system while maintaining the depth. So now you could get a 6 link on every skill that your character uses. Dual specializing your passive tree was something that they highlighted in some of the feature videos. So it shows on the little image here. So the skill tree shows it going up into ice boosting skills, but it also goes up here into electric boosting skills. And the way they said it works is that when you use an ice-based skill, it will use that side of the tree. But when you use an electric-based skill, it uses that side, and you can use those moves, those skills, like back to back, and it will automatically swap what side of the tree is getting the bonus. And so certain types of skill points will allow you to apply to both sides to give you a little more flexibility with your build so that you can actually multi-type. Because the old way, you would have to like commit to, yeah, I basically want to go like pure frost damage or pure lightning damage. And if you tried to do both, you would lose a lot of points that would boost that side. So this way, they set it up so that you can actually do both.
All right.
So they made your elemental building a lot more diverse that way. They say they feature 700 equipment base types, and everyone has its own unique item. You can augment your arsenal with new weapons like spears, crossbows, flails, and you get supplementary items, focuses, traps, and redesigned scepters. They did show like some items or some weapon types would actually have skills attached to them, so that if you swing the weapon, it actually casts that skill as part of the weapon swing to make certain weapon types like less useless, I guess. Because certain character classes, like, they would just focus on casting spells, so the actual base damage of their weapon was kind of pointless. The map, they show a whole... It looks like the map, they made it a lot more robust. They have a lot more areas. I guess each of these little spots is a separate map you can go to fight monsters, explore, get story points and all that. New end game. So completing the campaign is just the beginning. The first Path of Exile had a lot of end game stuff where you would do like this whole map generation to get like extra special bosses to try and get more end game gear drops, and I guess they do expand that even more. Crafting and re-rolling your armor stats, extra bosses, like I said. As you progress through the end game, you get access to special passive trees that can boost the rewards of your maps and change the way various end game mechanics work. So that's some cool stuff. I'm actually interested to try this out and see how it works myself.
Yeah, it looks like based on the sounds of things that they built on everything from the first one and made things a lot better.
Yeah.
Just based on what I'm hearing here and what I'm reading.
And it looks like they are still supporting the first Path of Exile too, as far as expanding that game. And something that I do appreciate about it, they say it here, it will never be pay to win, and purchases are shared between the two games. So Path of Exile does have microtransactions, and we'll see up here we have, for this one, Steam has these starter pack, or these supporter packs for early access. $30, $60, and $100 for it, which could easily be what you would spend on a AAA game. And despite having the microtransactions in the games, historically the first Path of Exile had those for cosmetic items, but they also had like you have an account stash that is tied to the ladder, and all of your characters that you have on that ladder, like on that server, basically would share the stash. So if you get a drop that's good for one character, but you're playing on a different one, you can put it in the stash and withdraw it with the other character. There were premium tabs, so you could buy in-game currency to get those premium tabs that would also work for your currency items that would be used to re-roll equipment to try and get better stats, better enchantments. And if I recall, it was like $30, maybe $40 to get a full set of the premium stash tabs that made it easier to organize your inventory. And honestly, the $30 to $40 is still a great value. Like, that is as pay to win as Path of Exile has ever been. So if they keep it to that sort of scale, I'd see this being really good. And it's been a successful model for them too. where you could be a completely free-to-play player and have no disadvantage in the game compared to people who do buy cosmetics or those stash tabs.
Yeah.
But I definitely recommend anybody who is interested, take a look at the trailers. They put a lot of work in there. We do have some excellent screenshots here where we see like looks like one of the larger enemy monsters and some fire skills going off. We got looks like some kind of big fuzzy manticore going on here, so that's another boss monster they're dealing with. Zyclusion the Chimera. We got the world map close up here. Of course, more monsters, because the core gameplay is these hordes of monsters and clearing maps to constantly try and get those loot upgrades. All this sorts of stuff. And it does look so. The screenshots seem to show like just a couple of the types of locales. Like this one looks a little bit like a volcanic ashland of sorts. Oh, here we go. Here's looks like you're fighting right on the edge of a volcanic eruption or something. That's probably a huge story beat right there. Looks like a boss arena type of situation.
Yeah.
With Vaswell the Colossal Guardian. Oh, Colossal Guardian. That must be this big figure over here. I think he was actually shown in one of the trailers too, where he would be lobbying attacks on the thing, and you would have to like dodge roll around while trying to get your attacks in on him. And then we see here the passive skill tree where it starts off for one of the characters. This is probably one of the ascendancy trees here, where the major skills that you try to get through the ascendancy is up here at the top. But then when you start the character, it looks like each character starts with 4 points around the tree, so they can start branching out into one of these sections of the skill tree on like the left or right side to choose how they want to start building their stats. And so you have like these minor skill things that'll give you small boosts, and then these larger ones that can have more direct effects on how your abilities work. And oh yeah, even some like environmental stuff. That's probably some kind of laser, like 4-point laser attack you're trying to avoid while you're fighting
Any laser.
whatever this dude is.
If it does spin, it reminds me oddly of the flame ring stuff, or the flame bar from Mario.
Right, kind of like one of those. Which they make it work for these environments.
Yeah.
Now there is, like I said, there's a lot of information in their showcases. The trailers show the witch, the ranger, the marauder, and the druid in some of the footage, and especially like in their 15 to 30 minute showcases. And that's why we're not going to go through all the videos right here.
Yeah, it's like a couple hours worth of content.
But in those, they did show how they expanded on the witch's focus of minions, since minions were a popular thing where you could summon like a horde of undead things to help fight for you in the battlefield. So they expanded on that with the witch. With the ranger, they showed a lot of combo skills. In fact, the ranger and the I think it was the marauder both. How they showed their range attacks. They don't have to like be stuck standing in place when they're attacking. They can actually move while they're shooting their bow or their crossbow. So that they try to give the players more ability to be in constant movement instead of having to use all your skills from a standing position. They definitely tried to make the game more mobile that way. And they did a lot showing off how you could chain abilities. Like the ranger would have a series of arrows. One that really stuck out to me, they would do like an arrow type that would hit the ground and summon plants or poison pods that would latch on or detonate toxic clouds around enemies. But then if you use other poison skills, like you could drop a poison cloud on that area, that poison cloud also boosts the spores or the plants. Which did a lot to chain abilities back to back instead of relying on like 1 or 2 main skills like the first game would have you do for your optimal builds.
Gotcha.
One other thing that really stuck out, that they did highlight this in some of their showcases. The first game had a lot of like auras or passive skills that would basically lock a percentage of your mana pool. So a lot of like end game builds would have auras to boost your abilities, but it would lock like 30, 40, or even like 60 or 80% of your mana, so that you'd have to like rely on low cost skills or constant things that would mana drain in order to actually use your active skills. In this one, they did away with that so that you're not locked out of your mana pool for those types of aura abilities, and instead replaced it with spirit. So I guess like if you have say 100 spirit, you could set an aura that takes up like 40 spirit or 60 spirit, and then readjust your skill loadout so that those types of things aren't blocking out your active skills, so that you can actually chain those abilities better. Or one other the druid one really stuck out. So the druid, anybody who's played World of Warcraft might have seen how druids, they have like multiple transformations. Their druid one, if I can like move over here and just kind of,
and your character transforms back into it.
No, we don't need the audio. So the druid, they show in the video the druid turning into a bear, but you don't. It's not like an active transformation skill. Every time you use a bear attack skill, it instantly transforms into the bear and uses the skill. But then if you use one of the if you use one of your spells, or you do a dodge roll, it'll transform back into the human and execute that skill, so that you can actually chain abilities together. They showed the druid using like a channeling ability to cause a volcanic eruption that would start spitting out fireballs from the ground. And then you could transform into a bear, and the bear has a lot of smashing attacks, and if you smash attack near one of those volcanic craters that you channeled, it'll cause more fireballs to erupt. So just little things like that, where they try to make it more about using multiple skills to get damage bonuses. Are we still there?
Yep.
Okay.
I was like, second.
Okay. Didn't know if I lost you. But yeah, so
no.
That's one of the things that really stick out. It looks like it's probably going to be a lot more fun this time around. And I would say the early access, at least on Steam, I would also look at Path of Exile's own direct website to see what's available there. But even on Steam, like buying a $30 supporter pack definitely seems like a worthwhile value to at least get the early access to the game and get to experience everything they got going on. And this is something that got delayed too. One of these showcases here came from before launch, and they did mention that that the game was delayed because they wanted to put a little more into it before they were comfortable actually putting it out into even early access.
Good. Shows care for the game.
Yeah, Grinding Gear Games has very much had that kind of focus on making sure that they wanted to deliver a player experience.
Yeah, that's always a good sign, honestly.
Yep.
That's not a joke.
But yeah, that. Not Marauder. Mercenary was that character class I was thinking of, the one with the guns. Yeah, overall, I would say absolute 10 out of 10 from what I've seen here. I do intend at looking at this game if my computer can handle it. I do need to get an upgrade eventually. My computer's slowing down a little bit.
I'm looking into it too at some point. I don't know if it's like on other platforms or not. It's something I may be more accustomed to, but
I don't think so. I think the first Path of Exile did get a console release. Gotcha. But Path of Exile 2, like I think they have a little more work going into it for controller support to make sure that it's reliable and comfortable in that.
Yeah,
but so like right now I'm seeing early access is $30, which sounds like a very fair price. Even if you were to bump up for the bigger supporter packs, the 60 and 100, that's up to the person at the individual. But I believe when they go full launch, they do intend for it to still be completely free to play for anybody that doesn't want to necessarily go for the premium stash tabs or anything of that sort. Or if you do have, if you have played the first one, to see what kind of content or what kind of the premium content carried over from that on the same account.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have a ton to say about this because I, like I said, I've never played this type of game before, and I didn't have a whole lot of
Right.
my own free time to look at all of the trailers. But from what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing, what you've described, and based on the small amount of stuff I did view on the store page, this game does look phenomenal.
Right.
Like, it looks fantastic for its game in its series. It looks, it looks like a good introduction, honestly, for me, because it's enough going on that it would probably give me a challenge, but not be overwhelmingly painful to go through.
Right.
Uh, and because I've played a little bit of Hades, I'd be used to the death part. Like if I have to die to learn things, that makes
Right.
sense. So I would definitely give it a 10 out of 10 too, just by the looks on what I'm looking and what I'm hearing here.
Yeah, I'm especially looking forward to getting to try it out myself. If I can get the early access before having to drop any money on there, I'm definitely going to be looking at that. As my budget opens up and allows a little bit, if possible, I may even jump on that $30 supporter pack if I need to try it out. Something else I would like to try and do is go back to Path of Exile 1. I could maybe even do a little bit of multiplayer stuff with that, like over a Discord on the regular channel.
Yeah.
And just to kind of revisit, because the story behind the game, like the story within the game, can very much be ignored if you just want to plow through maps and get through the game that way. But the story itself was interesting too, and that's something else I'm looking forward to seeing how this game expands on Rayclast and expands on the story that the first one had with like some kind of gods and demons thing going on where your character seems to uncover some kind of conspiracy that decimated the mainland city that sent you to exile in the first place.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm almost wondering if so from one of the trailers, it did look like the main character might have your main character might actually like die and be executed at the beginning of the game if I'm
Oh, really?
looked at the trailer right, because it showed a bunch of like what looked like the character classes at the gallows.
Oh.
It was that kind of wild thing going on. And the first one, it wasn't even that. It was the first one showed your character on the main screen and them getting shipped off in a boat being sent to the island with the rest of exiles until you get shipwrecked and then you're like the last survivor from the boat. But yeah, that's where I'm at on this one. Solid 10 out of 10. Anybody out there, if you have played Path of Exile 2 already and have some comparison for it, let us know in comments what you thought of it. And this is one that I do want to try out eventually on my own. Definitely, even more so than the last couple of games. Yeah. Anything else on Ezra's side?
Like I said, I don't have a whole lot I can add to this one,
Right.
unfortunately. So
I was just thinking like how, in comparison to whatever kind of like I know Hades had that whole the roguelike thing where you would upgrade your character.
Yeah.
Each time you die, you get like upgrades and purchases to help you on your next run. As opposed to, but it was still like you get your character, you get your drops on a run, and your skill upgrades for that run for like a very run and gun and crowd control kind of situation.
Yeah, I agree to that extent. I feel like this one's definitely different, but the jumping off point is there from what I
Right.
have experienced.
In fact, if anybody out there has also played Diablo 4, now I've skipped Diablo 4 because I played a lot of 3, but I haven't had the budget or the time for 4. So let us, if you've played that and if you've played this both, like let us know how they compare. I'd like to see what people think about that. And with that, I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap up for the day. Once again, be sure to check the links down there. You can find both our own Discord and FlamedEzra's networks over there too for whatever they're working on in recent memory.
Not much at the moment, but I hope to get back to it soon.
Yep. Sometimes we all take breaks sometimes, right?
Yep. Yeah.
All right. With that, everyone out there, you have a good day and stay safe.
Peace.